Welcome back to Robbing Minds. Now, there's something that a lot of Nigerians are constantly talking about, and that's the price of food. You go to the market, and today the cost of a pint of tomatoes is maybe 5,000. Next day you go and it's 15,000 and it's 20,000. It keeps fluctuating, and most times it's on the rise. And you start to wonder, how are people still running food businesses and remaining profitable? Are they decreasing the kind of ingredients they are using? Are they substituting? You'd go and get pepper soup, and instead of seeing yam, you probably see sweet potato, which is cheaper. So it's an interesting conversation around the realities of everyday market prices. And would like to hear from a food vendor. We're joined by Chef Tucker Moore, who is a chef and also an entrepreneur. Welcome to Robbing Mind.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. Now, how has the current level of food inflation impacted your business? Are you one of those people that will substitute yam in pepper soup for sweet potato? Are you changing ingredients? I know there was a time where some people even stopped doing tomato-based stew and started doing banga and palm kernel stew.
Cucumber.
Cucumbers too, and watermelons.
Yes, the inflation has affected my business greatly, as well as other businesses in the country. And thankfully, it's something that is known to both the consumers as well as we, the service providers, that this is the current state of things in the country. What we now have to do is, become creative with how we offer things on the menu, and letting them know what the expectations can be in terms of pricing, in terms of expectation, in terms of quality of produce in their food, and also switching up menus occasionally, to capture what is readily available at a much lower cost in the country.
So what are those creative ways? Is it through substitution? How are you able to still source your produce? Are you having to, I believe it's the first lady who said we should all start growing things in our backyard.
Yes.
Have you started doing that as a way to combat food inflation?
Well, no, but we have locally, we have vendors who supply us with local produce. Before now, we would buy things like cherry tomatoes, but we have our local tomatoes that are also sweet, sometimes come in that small sizes. We are now looking, into local produce as opposed to going to buy international products from before. So now we are now having to, incorporate these readily available produce in the country into our menu.
And how is your audience reacting, your customers? How are they reacting to this localization of your menu?
Well, thankfully for myself, my clients know me to be an Afrofusion person. I take Western recipes and I infuse Nigerian ingredients into it. So I think that the play there has been a bit fair because of, in terms of expectations, it's what they are used to. It's the ingredients I use, very, very occasionally. Yeah.
And how are you able to still maintain quality? So is it a case of reducing the quantity to maintain the quality, or is an outright change of the menu so you can still guarantee the same size, but it's just a different meal?
Well, it can happen in several ways. Like in my business now, I would speak to my business. The changes hasn't been a lot, to be fair, because thankfully the clients sometimes can afford the changes in prices. We have changed prices a lot of times because of the current cost of things in the market, and they have accepted most of them. But in other cases, we have a slightly watered down kind of menu that we also let them know that this is also available. If you can't meet your price points, we can offer you this. However, it is still made from the freshest produce, it's quality. Yeah, if you can have salmon, then you can maybe have Titus, in that kind of case.
Okay, so having an alternative with different ingredients, yes, so you can still guarantee quality yes, and even the sizes. But are there any specific ingredients you've had to cut out or totally replace?
Replace, no. I've only like had to cry all the time about the cost of things. But I think one specific thing that has just kept skyrocketing is dairy produce, especially butter, and then cooking cream. It has been off the roof. And these are ingredients that are not, you can't substitute them. You can't get butter from any other source. It's from cows. You can't buy a cow as well to make the milk, to milk it, and then get the butter out of it. So we have to buy them. It's shocking.
It's interesting you say that because I remember seeing a video online and saying that the cooking cream was 17,000 and people are now using powdered milk with water and flour to thicken it. But obviously, it can't give you the same
Yes, it's not.
consistency
Yeah,
and
in terms
taste.
of in terms of the fat content that helps give sauces their body or help things to coagulate better. Like I'm speaking to the components of a machine produced cooking cream now. I mean, it will have the same mouthfeel, slightly same mouthfeel. However, they're incomparable.
So just a lot of crying
Just
and passing that burden
Yes.
to the customers
Yes.
in how much they're paying. What about things like tomatoes, for example? Do you use that? Because a lot of times you go online and it's the cost of tomatoes, tatache, rodo, things that we used to do stew, and that's why people are now coming up with cucumber stew. Have you experimented with cucumbers?
No. Interestingly, I've not had to do that. Yes, I mean, for like stews in the Nigerian culinary world, stews are made from tomatoes, and I believe they should be kept that way. They should be made from tomatoes. Um, I think prices in tomatoes have dropped just slightly over the past 2 weeks from our last purchase for the company. Yeah, so I think it's a price that has just been going up and down. However, I think it's affordable in terms of you could get the size, the pocket size you can get. Well, everybody can afford to buy tomatoes, so we've not had to, cut that out from our menu at all.
What about things like eggs? Because we've seen that skyrocket, and just like dairy, it hasn't really come down.
That it hasn't. For eggs as well, what we've had to do now is partner with large farms that can make supplies to us. If you're buying certain quantities, you get certain discounts. That's how we've had to survive, because buying it in smaller units, you are going to be spending the child's school fees buying eggs. Yeah.
What would you say is that one cost of produce that shocked you the most during this whole period?
I think we've just talked about it. It's butter. If my colleagues are watching this, I'm sure they know we cry all the time about it.
With butter,
It's such an integral part of pastry making, because I was originally a pastry chef. You can't do without butter. It's used in cakes, it's used in buttercream, all of these things, and then you can't cut it out. You just have to make those purchases.
some would actually substitute for margarine, which won't give you the same effect.
Yeah.
And is there an opportunity for local manufacturers to go into making butter? Because a lot of the high quality butter is imported into the
yes.
country.
Yes, I believe we can, if livestock can be put aside for the purpose of creating butter. I mean, we have that in the north. If companies can begin to look into that, I'm sure it would cut down the prices. Well, until then, we have to deal with inflation from importation.
And for now, what will you say are the best produce to buy for the people who are watching that are in season and at the best cost?
In terms of
Produce.
Okay.
So someone is watching and is thinking, okay, I shouldn't buy avocados now because they're out of season and they're charging maybe 2,000 naira for one avocado or 1.5. So what are those things in season that you can still get at a good cost, like fresh produce but in season?
I think tomatoes are coming back. So compared to the past couple of weeks or months, people have not been crying about those things. I would advise you go to Mile 12 markets. There are very good vendors there who would sell to you. Potatoes as well are coming back as well. Onions too are coming back. So things like those.
Okay. Now, to your craft, being an entrepreneur and a chef, how important has social media been to your journey? There's a popular advert that says the phone eats before we eat, because once you go and get a nice meal, whether it's made in your home by a chef or at a restaurant, the first thing you do is bring out your phone and you record before you actually eat.
The food.
Yes.
Social media has played the biggest role in terms of putting my work out there, in terms of advertisements. It's literally like a catalog. People come on social media and see things I have done in the past. So it has been it has played the most vital role, apart from the back end work, the kitchen. Social media shows people what we are up to every other minute. So yes, it's very integral.
And for those restaurants where a lot of people go there to take pictures and pay so much money and the food is at supper, do you feel that that's what people want now from restaurants? Nice aesthetics for Instagram as opposed to great food?
No, obviously not. I don't support that at all, because I pay attention to customer experience, which also involves the kind of things they eat, the kind of things you put on your plate for them. I feel like restaurants need to do better. If you're watching this, you should probably do better. It's something that requires a bit of meticulous thinking. Hiring the right staff, ensuring you have the right people behind the kitchen, behind the stove, cooking these meals for your guests. Because I dine out as well. Apart from being a chef, I go out to have food. Like on a Sunday, have brunch with friends. I have high expectations, and I expect that they are met because I'm spending money.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Chef Toka Umo, chef and entrepreneur,
so
for joining us on Robin Mind.
Thank you so much.